Hello guys, what's What here? This is going to be part 1 of What If Belle was the Ghost Rider. And so, we start off with Belle being born. Both of his parents are, well, not exactly important to the story, seeing as, well, they left him at the front door of an orphanage. So yeah, they didn't want Belle and wanted to get rid of him as fast as they could. So yeah, when the orphanage finally, when the head priest of the orphanage opened the door and saw Belle, he saw him severely malnourished. But he also saw something strange with Belle, because instead of Belle in this What If having pure white hair and two red eyes, his hair is black with white outlines. And let's see, both of his eyes are currently red. But actually, no, the crap. What did I say? They're not red, but they're actually sort of blackish white. So yeah. And well, the priest looks a bit baffled by this, because this is the first time he saw anybody with that sort of hair or eyes. But seeing as he was just literally a poor innocent baby, yeah, he took him in. And so then, for the next 3.5 years, Belle would be taken care of by Sister Elizabeth, that being one of the sisters of the cloth. So, yeah. As the next years progressed, Belle is currently 5.5 years old. It's currently his birthday, with the head priest giving him new clothes as a present, and Sister Elizabeth giving him a toy sword. So, yeah. And well, after all of that was done, Belle went ahead and played games of war with the other children. And while all the other children had, well, essentially sticks and rocks, Belle was the only one who actually had a proper toy sword. So all of them sort of appointed him as being their leader, like the leader of one of the groups there. And yeah, for the rest of the Belle's birthday, they fought each other until it was about, I would say, almost night. So like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., something like that. And so that's when Sister Elizabeth came out and told Belle that they needed to get back to the orphanage along with all of the other children. And that is exactly what they did. But on the way to the orphanage, Sister Elizabeth gets stopped by someone. That someone being a thug who then, well, simply starts asking her to hand over all the money she has. But with her being the sister of the cloth and all, she doesn't exactly have anything on her of value. And, well, that's when the three thugs decide to take something else. Now, I believe that most of you guys know what I mean by this. So, yeah. Simply putting it, they go ahead and start, well, to strip Sister Elizabeth. Belle goes ahead with his toy sword and actually is able to gouge out one of the eyes of the thugs. But that's when the other thug simply takes his sword and impales Belle. As Belle falls onto the ground, hearing essentially the cries of all of his friends, and also, well, seeing how Sister Elizabeth looks completely and utterly destroyed that she just saw. Essentially, she thought of Belle as her own son, get killed in front of her eyes. But that's when something strange happened. Belle opened his eyes, but he didn't know where he was. He was surrounded by, well, utter darkness. And out of that darkness, something came flowing by. And a flaming, essentially a flaming soul, or an orb, shall we call it, Bell had no idea what this was, and so he went ahead and touched it because, strangely, even though it did look deadly, it felt warm to the skin. And well, after Bell touched that, he opened his eyes again. But this time he opened them to see that he had killed all three of the thugs, with all of the children being scared of him and Sister Elizabeth just looking at him, not sure what to think. And that's when Bell looks at, well, a puddle in the ground. He sees that half of his face is now burnt away. A skull, and well, he gets terrified of himself at that point. But before he can do really anything else, he passes out yet again. As he passes out, most of the children are, well, afraid of him now, some even terrified, while others are thankful and some even praise him. Because what he just did, well, let's say it like this. Let's say that the church which they were in, they know about the angel of vengeance. So, or the spirit of vengeance. Since I'm not exactly sure what Ghost Rider is, although I'm pretty sure that he's a spirit of vengeance. So, yeah. And well, they know that he has been manifesting over the, well, centuries or millennia, that he had always taken apart, or well, taken to essentially fuse himself with another person's soul. And that is what happened to Bell. Although to them, that's simply myth and legend. So they're not really sure what to believe. And well, as they take Bell back to the orphanage, they see something weird. Bell's skin and flesh start to come back. And the half of his face, which was complete bone, well, what you could see his skeleton essentially, was now back to, well, a normal human. And well, they did not know how to think of this. But, well, after, let's say, a week or so, Bell wakes up, not knowing where he is or what had happened. And that's when he sees Sister Elizabeth sleeping right next to him. That is, at the side of his bed. So, yeah, he wakes her up, and then he sees that he actually has several religious, or well, holy artifacts around him. That being the cross and all that other stuff. And that's when the head priest also comes in, along with one paladin. Yeah. Bell is a bit scared at first, but that's when the paladin simply tells him that, well, that they're not exactly sure what happened, but they believe that the children and Sister Elizabeth saw something completely false. Because, as the paladin explains, that there is a lesser demon in the city, which can, well, it can transform itself into anyone it wishes, and it can also change the features of that someone. So the paladin simply tells Bell, and along with Sister Elizabeth, that the thing which killed those three thugs was probably the lesser demon. Because when they examined Bell, they felt absolutely zero magical potential from him. Like absolutely zero. Like that almost like he's void of any sort of mana. And yeah. So they're a bit weirded out by that fact. But well, after that, the paladin goes back and tries to find the demon, along with his other posse of essentially several adventurers from, let's say, the Zeus familia, like some of the lower ranking ones, because yes, at this time, they are still here, that being the Zeus familia. And well, as all that is going on, they go ahead and try to find the lesser demon. And Bell goes to the, well, cafeteria, where all the kids are looking at him and, well, some of them are scared of him, that being like most of the kids. Like, let's say there's like 80 or so kids in the orphanage. 60 of them are full-blown scared of him. A dozen of them are terrified of him, while the other 10 or so all simply, well, have started to look up to him. And, well, along with 3 of them who, like, just think that, yeah, that wasn't Bell. Bell is, even though Bell is strong, he can take on 3 fully grown men with actual weapons. So, yeah, 3 of them are being realistic, and the other ones are simply happy because the paladin told them that the one who killed the 3 thugs was a demon. While in all actuality, it was the Ghost Rider simply taking control of Bell's body. For the first time. For now, at least. And so, Bell goes in with the group who actually still believes that he's not some sociopathic monster or demon. And, let's say that one of the names of the girls here would be, what would be a good name? Leona. That sounds a pretty good one. Leona and Darwin. These are essentially his best friends forever. Along with Bell having a bit of a crush on Leona. And let's say they simply ask him what happened that day, with Bell telling them that he that he thought that he got stabbed by one of their swords of the thugs after he was able to gouge out one of their eyes with his sword. And, well, they sort of look confused by that fact and Bell asked them, because Bell tells them that he did do that, but that's when Darwin comes in and tells him, well, even if you did do that to one of them, it can't be told because their faces were completely melted off. With Bell now being rather scared and not understanding why an actual paladin was called in by the church. Because I'm going to make it that paladins are essentially, let's say that like the Christian god. Yeah, let's say that like he's one of the most powerful gods out there, even surpassing Zeus in, well, power and his familiar status. But instead of a familia, let's say that God, and I mean like God, has an order instead of a familia, those being the orders of priests, paladins, and sisters of cloth. Along with battle maidens and all that crap, I have a lot of good ideas for this what if. But so, yeah. Now Bell understands why exactly they brought a paladin here. Since a paladin is usually has the same amount of strength as a level 5 adventurer. But this one, which he saw, his armor was essentially had a bunch of battle scars on it. And he could also see that he had several crests on him, along with a gigantic golden cross. Which was also, it had some red stains on it, probably of demons and all that. So yeah, that paladin was probably about level 6 or in a level 7 adventurer. Because lesser demons, even though they are lesser, they're not exactly easy to deal with. Usually you would need 20 or to 30 level 4 to 3 adventurers to kill one. Although in a level 7 or 6 paladin will be able to take on it alone. Although that's for safety measures, he also has several other adventurers with him. And so, there's all of... And after that, Darwin, Leona and Bell go ahead to their room, where they find that Bell's bed had been completely, well, soaked in bodily fluids, that being piss, urine, and, well, yeah, shit. Because the other kids didn't exactly like him, and yeah. When the other sisters came into the room, they started, well, essentially yelling at the kids who did that, telling them that was extremely uncalled for. And that's when Sister Elizabeth comes in and, well, he asks Belle if he would be willing to sleep in her room, with Belle agreeing immediately. The other sister is asking Sister Elizabeth is she sure about that, because, well, and that's when the head priest comes in, and he asks what's all the commotion here. That's when he sees Belle's destroyed bed. And if any of you guys are wondering, Belle sees the head priest, along with most of the other children, see the head priest as their grandfather. Since, yeah, the head priest used to be, well, a paladin, one of the stronger ones as well. And so, yeah, he goes ahead and first speaks to the children which did that, telling them that that was a stupid thing of them to do, and that God would not want that, and that God wants unity, not division between the humanity. And yeah, all the kids now just go back to their room, with the high priest asking Sister Elizabeth of what she just said. And she tells him, well, explains to him, that she would like Belle to, well, sleep in her room. With the high priest, when he hears about this, he says no, that they will find Belle another private room. And, well, yeah, although Belle is not the only one, because the beds of both Darwin and Leona were also trashed, simply because they were still, well, enjoying their time with a quote-unquote monster. And so, yeah, now all three of them got a separate room in the same building where all of the sisters were, along with some of the, how do you call them, scribes, I believe. So, yeah, that's where they were. And now, as all that was, well, unfolding, we're going to have a time skip, another 3 years. And in these 3 years, every single month, Belle would have a nightmare, that being sometimes a nightmare, sometimes a good dream. The nightmares consisting of Belle being surrounded by hordes of demons just coming at him from every single direction, and Belle using a sort of a flame whip, so that is a chain whip with a spike, or well, essentially a morning star, if you guys know what that weapon is. The head of the morning star, imagine it being on an end of a chain. Yeah, that's the weapon which Belle was using. But in every single time he had that nightmare, in the end the result was always the same, with one gigantic archdevil being able to pierce through, well, Belle with his battle with his halberdier. So yeah, in every single nightmare Belle would die. And when he died, he would start throwing up blood. Something which all of them, the head priest and the sisters, knowing about. They didn't know what had happened to Belle, and at first they thought that he had some illness the first month. But when that started repeating every single month on the exact same day, that being the 13th, yeah, all of them actually started believing that Belle was cursed. They didn't know by who or by what, but that's when they started remembering about the lesser demon, which at this point had been killed by the paladin and the familia of Zeus. And yeah, after the times, and we'll actually know, Belle's dreams were that of him, walking through a courtyard. And as he was walking through it, he saw, as only how he could feel with them, his own family, that being his wife, his father, mother, and 3 of his children, along with several of his friends. But that was it. When he came closer to them, he woke up again. But every single time he woke up after that, he found out that he had a good night's sleep and was also a bit more energized than the day before that. And with that being said, Belle was going through the memories of all of the past people who had the spirit of vengeance inside of them, with the last person being the one who died by the Archdevil. And let's say the Archdevil, for priority's sake, that his name is going to be Astalofo, or I believe that's how you call him, or Astalov, something like that. I'm not particularly sure. But yeah, Astalofo, that's going to be the name of the devil, or the Archdevil. And yeah, and after that, the 3 years pass. Belle is currently 8.5 years old, and well, he's currently going to school, or well, at least the school which the orphanage provides him. That being where he learns how to read, write, and also, if he wanted, he could also start learning some other languages, which Belle does do. So, he starts learning, well, essentially French, English, German, and Latin. All at the same... Oh, all at the same time. With Belle being, well, strangely gifted at German. So they thought that Belle might even come from a German household, since, well, yeah. Although it was a bit weird for Germans to have pure black hair with white outlines, and that's when they noticed something. They're just going to say, like, and two black and white eyes. They finally saw something which wasn't there before. They saw a small glint of red in the black pupil which Belle had. Something which wasn't there before. And yeah, the next time, or like the next month, when they came from when like several of the paladins came, or like just regular soldiers of the church came, and along with several priests to test out if any of the orphans there had any sort of magic prowess or mana, they were surprised to find out that Belle, somebody who had absolutely zero mana for the last 7.5 years, suddenly had quite a bit. It was still not enough to, well, get him to join any sort of ranks, even at the regular soldier ranks, because, well, to fight against demons, you had to have at least that amount of magic. And Belle didn't exactly have that. Although he was able of, how do you call it, chanting, like some minor magic words and creating like small, and I'm like really small fireballs. And by that I mean the fireball the size of a pebble. Yeah. So his magic really wasn't that good. And he also had zero affinities. And the only type of magic which he could cast would be fire magic. Although the one thing which... Okay, so let's see. I believe that I left off with talking about Belle's magic. So, let's see. Belle's magic, or well, it was extremely weak, with his fire magic essentially being a, well, that is fireball, being the same size as a pebble. So not exactly strong. Although there was one key feature which the priests, along with the paladins, or well, the knights which came with him, found quite a bit interesting, because Belle could use Eternal Flame. But so that essentially being a flame which can never go out, even if you try to put it out with water or anything else, water magic, ice magic, or anything else, the flame would always burn. So, yeah. And what that meant is that they essentially had Belle go around the city and just like, well, lampposts, make them bright. And yeah, that's what Belle did. And in doing so, he actually got a fair bit of money for himself. That being like, let's say 50 copper coins. And for him, that was extremely good, even though in reality, the thing which he just did would usually be like worth around 10 gold coins, which is, well, 1000 copper coins. With 1000 copper coins being, actually, no, what am I saying about it? No, it's not. 100 copper coins is 1 silver coin, and 100 silver coins is 1 gold coin. So, yeah, that's how the currency works. And so, after all that was going on about, the church was also given a sizable portion of 50 gold for them even getting him, because Bel also lit their arrows, for being their arrowheads. And you see, the thing about Bel's flame magic, it was extremely weak, but it gave off, well, it was bright. And yeah. And also when Bel put it on his arrowheads, on the arrows, because of how small the flame was, it wouldn't catch the arrows on fire. And because the barrels which they were put in were, well, let's say dark oak barrels, which let's say that they were made out of a certain type of wood which isn't flammable. So yeah. So Bel upgraded the city's defense, their, well, lights all around them, and yeah, he was considered extremely useful. Okay, so I believe that I left off with telling how the currency works in the, well, my what if. So, 100 copper coins are 1 silver coin, 100 silver coins is 1 gold coin, and so forth. And well, let's see, the Bel was given 50 copper coins, while the church had been given several hundred gold coins for the help they did, along with killing the lesser demon. And now we go through, well, the next day, or well, the next week. Bel is having another nightmare, although this time it's not the same one. It's him, like him running away from someone. He doesn't know what it is, he just knows that he has to run. He feels terrified of that being and just keeps running away from it. As he slowly hears it coming up behind him, it doesn't matter how fast or how much he runs, it's always one step behind him. And well, after doing that for, well, as he felt it, for dozens, if not hundreds of hours in his sleep, he does something which he didn't want to do. He confronts it. He takes up all the courage he has and he confronts this thing which has been following him. And that's when he sees him, the spirit of vengeance, the Ghost Rider, in his full form. Although instead of having, as you guys can see here, the leather jacket and, well, jeans essentially, he has battle armor. That being, well, yeah, extremely, well, heavy armor, engulfed in flames, and his Morning Star chain combo wrapped around his, well, torso, with the Morning Star coming perfectly right at his shoulder plate. Now, Bel knows that when he looked at the puddle, he saw this. And that's when the Ghost Rider speaks, simply telling Bel this. Hey, kid. And after that, Bel wakes up. He didn't know who that was, but now he knew that the same weapon which that being had was the same weapon which he saw in his other nightmares and in his dreams. He had no clue who it was or what the thing was. And that's when he asks, well, the head priest about it. He tells him about his nightmares, dreams, and also about what happened. The head priest looks concerned because because he's actually thinking that Belle has been possessed by some sort of a demon. Although in reality it's just Ghost Rider being Ghost Rider. And so, and as they're speaking, they're being, well, stalked. One of the inquisitors of the church, the other the Inquisitorius, yeah, they're the guys who are, well, go up and see if any blasphemy, heresy, or cult doings have been going around. And that's when they heard Belle's story. Something which truly did seem like Belle was possessed by a demon. The Inquisitor informs his higher-ups about this, and they send a team of 7 Inquisitors to, well, kill Belle and anyone who he was close with. And so, as the Inquisitors come there, or at least as they're coming towards the orphanage, the head priest sees them. He knows why they're here, and he tells Sister Elizabeth to take Leona, Darwin, and Belle and get the hell away from the orphanage. Elizabeth asks why, and that's when she looks out the window. And one of the Inquisitors, in the time when the High Priest turned around, used teleportation magic to come right up to the window. As she looks at him and the Inquisitor, which all of the Inquisitors wear hoods and faceless masks. So that essentially the Inquisitorium, or the Order of the Inquisitors, yeah, they don't have any free will. They don't show they don't show emotions and, well, anything like that. If you were just a normal person to see them, you couldn't even differentiate which one of them was female and which one was male because of their voices. They were, how do you say it, meddled with. So all of them sound the same. As the head priest turns back around, the glass shatters with the female Inquisitor, or which he thinks is the female Inquisitor because of her small frame, or its small frame. The Inquisitor speaks and tells him to give him Sister Elizabeth, Darwin, Belle, and Leona. Now, at this point, 3 of the other Inquisitors are already at the gates. They've entered the orphanage and they're trying to find where they are. Now, they eventually find Darwin. They don't know where Leona and Belle are. And as the 3 Inquisitors enter the room, something a bit, well, unfortunate for them happens. Because, you see, Leona has her own attributes, or her affinity for a type of magic. And sadly for them, the type of magic which she uses is, well, manipulation of, how do you say it again? So she can create spaces which only she can see, or those who she wants to see. That's her magic, and she does that, just that. She opens up essentially a gate beneath the feet of the 3 Inquisitors. The veteran Inquisitor is able to jump out, is able to avoid it immediately, although the other 2 fall through it. And then the Inquisitor simply looks at Leona, along with Belle and Darwin, and then he says something to himself. Leona, Belle, and Darwin don't hear him, but in reality what the Inquisitor said, like their leader, he said that it's a damn shame that all of them were affiliated with demonic kind, because otherwise they could have used Leona in the Inquisitors. And well, as he jumps to get Darwin, or well, kill him right on the spot, something forbids him. That being a gigantic flame wall, just boom, happens out of nowhere. And out of that flame wall comes out a demon. Well, not a full-fledged demon, more like a lesser demon. And if any of you guys are wondering how this demon looks like, yeah, it's not that scary, as you can see. Yeah, that's how it looks like. I'll imagine it instead of the forest background that he came out of a fire portal. Or well, a portal from hell. And yeah, that's when the demon charges at the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor is able to dodge, but that's when the demon just breaks through the other side of the orphanage. And well, that wall crushes Sister Elizabeth. The head priest and the other 5 inquisitors see what had just happened, and they have absolutely no clue how a demon was able to spawn in the Holy Land, or well, like the holy area of the church. They immediately rush to kill it, along with several of the knights of the order. Or well, of them. So let's see. I'm just gonna explain the orders. So there's the Inquisition. There's the Paladin Order. There is the Knights of God Order, which being said that like Knights of Gods and the Knights of just Emperors are a bit different. Because considering on how powerful an Emperor is, or on what sort of a god has blessed the Emperor or the Empress, the Emperor and Empress can grant small blessings to their knights. That being that they get a new affinity for like fire magic, or that they get some new type of, well, I got no clue, like extra strength, endurance, stamina, and all that. And well, while the Knights of God gain full-fledged blessings, that being 2 affinities for magic, with one always being holy magic, and the second one being the affinity which represents the guy the most, or the female knight the most. And they also gain essentially a level up. If they were a level 3, they were now level 4. So yeah, the god of Christianity's blessings are rather powerful. And well, as all of them just immediately charge towards the demon. The demon roars and he springs out 4 more arms from his back, with the Inquisitors, the head priest, the knights all fighting against them. And in this time, Belle, Leona and Darwin take the time to escape. They break one of the windows using a chair and just jump through it. Then they start to run, with all of them see a sewer grid, or well, a sewer, how do you say it, portion where they can enter the sewers. And that's exactly what they do. Darwin's magic is that he can create, how do you say it, he can use, his affinity is for wind magic. So he does just that. He uses his wind magic to blow open the gate, which was, well, preventing them from going into the sewers. And after they do that, Bale uses his fire magic so that they have light. And all 3 of them enter the sewers. And that's when they hide in a compartment, which they didn't know it was even there. And soon they find out for what this apartment was used for. They find out that this is the place from which the first demon was summoned. They see in a dead goat's body, well, now just bones left, the blood seal, or not being the satanic star, along with several markings on the wall for use of black magic. So yeah, when they see that, they get rather scared, especially when they hear something move behind them. And something which moved behind them, it's, well, imagine a big fucking spider. and then infuse that spider with demonic energy. That was the thing which was behind them. And yeah, before Leona can even cast her, how do you say it, her space manipulation magic, the spider jumps. It pins Leona to the ground, and keep in mind, they're currently 8 years old. So, yeah. And that's when Belle uses a sharp rock and throws it right in one of the eyes of the spider. The spider now lets go of Leona and goes towards Belle. That's when... Oh, crap. That's when Leona takes the opportunity to create one of her smaller portals, or space manipulation portals, right beneath two of the spider's legs. The spider now falls through them, and she closes the portal immediately. As the portal closes, it also chops off both of the spider's arms, or legs. And that's when Darwin comes up with his wind blade and is able to cut off the spider by its torso, although the spider is still moving. And at that point, Belle looks around and he sees some sort of a dagger on the, well, essentially altar. Belle takes that dagger, jumps in the air, and stabs the spider with it. Before the spider can even do anything, it starts drying up, with Belle looking at him a bit strangely, and that's when he realizes something. The blade which she took, it can suck a being's life force away. So yeah, that was a rather, well, scary, how do you call it? A rather scary, well, experience. And that's when they, well, lit the place up afire. With the smoke coming up from the underground, several knights actually open up the area, seeing the hidden passageway, or essentially catacombs. And at this point, Belle, Darwin and Leona have made it out of the city using the sewer. And now they're alone. 3 children, of all of them being 8 years old, with the eldest one being Belle, with 8 years and a half. They're left alone. They can't go back to the city. The Inquisitors are looking for them, although not to the point of them like absolutely hunting them. There's going to be like a couple of Inquisitors which are going to try and get on their trail, along with some wanted boars. How do they say it? Or some bounties on their head, or posters with bounties on them across several of the nearby villages. But as the Inquisitors are doing that, it's a bit too late. Because the next few villages, yeah, Belle, Darwin and Leona had already passed them. And well, now they were living off the grid. They didn't know what to do. They were just currently hiding in a pile of bushes, and that's when they heard something from behind them. All of them get scared immediately, with Belle being the one in front, the second one being Leona, and the third one being Darwin behind both of them. As Darwin charges up 2 wind blades and Leona starts using her manipulation of space magic, the guy who was there gets both of his hands up and simply says, "Don't shoot." And yeah, this is a mercenary. Or well, yeah, a mercenary. And he tells them that, well, are they alright? Because it's really unusual to see 3 kids in one of the most dangerous parts of the forest, lurking with both bandits and God knows how many direwolves. So, yeah. When the mercenary offers a hand to Belle, and the Belle was a bit afraid of him, but yeah. That's when, for some weird reason, he thought he felt a lot calmer. With that reason being that the Ghost Rider, or well, that Belle inadvertently used one of his, how do you say it, inactive skills. With that skill being that he can see who is good and who is evil. With the mercenary being neutral, although swaying more to the, how do you say it, good side. And so they follow him. And then they come up to a carriage. With the carriage, well, basically having, well, not an entire convoy being, better said. It had several dozen carriages of hundreds of, that is not hundreds, like 26 mercenaries, which are all part of the same group, and the rest were just regular men-at-arms, archers and guardsmen, along with a couple of adventurers and something which made Belle, Darwin and Leona scared, one inquisitor. Now, the mercenaries saw that the three of them were scared of the inquisitor, and he figured out rather quickly why, as the inquisitor showed an unwanted poster with all three of their rough sketches of their faces. And yeah, the mercenaries who saw that their friend, let's just call him Jack, yeah, Jack, as they saw Jack bring three kids along, and now they see three posters of wanted kids. And yeah, and with all of them being a mercenary company, like all of 26 of them knew each other from birth. Like they grew up in the same village and they became a mercenary company at the exact same time. So yeah, none of them ratted the three kids out. And Jack was immensely grateful for that, with all of them simply putting aside what he just said and telling to Jack that whatever the hell Inquisition wants with three children, I don't want to know about that, but I also don't want them to experience that. And so the convoy goes on its way. And they're currently, it's a trade convoy, so they are currently going out of the, well, country which is known for, well, not country, but, well, yeah, country, although it's an, fuck, sorry guys, I had a bit of an, my mind went, well, blank for a second. So, they were leaving the Empire, and they were going to a bit of a smaller kingdom, which had an access to the sea, so yeah. And just like that, I'm going to leave this episode off right here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day.